Good morning, guys. So last night I beached it. This rock right here is called the Devil's Backbone. It's like a fairly rare feature, geological feature, I guess they could call that. It kind of sticks out in the river. And then there's a gas pipeline that goes across the top there. So yeah, I just came up behind it and I beached the boat last night and I tied up to a tree. Just give you guys some ideas for when you do this if you don't know this already. I just tied up to that tree right there with a couple of lines. When the barges went by and threw up their waves onto the shore, there was a couple times. Well, what I found is that you kind of want to pull the nose up onto the beach pretty good as you can. Because if you don't, what happens is the sand washes out underneath the pontoons or the hulls, and then it starts to slam. It starts to go boom, boom, and it's not necessarily hurting anything, but it just gets kind of annoying. It'll wake you up, or it'll, you can't ignore it, I guess is what I'm saying. So pull it up far enough so that the waves can't get underneath the nose, and then it just kind of gently rocks when they go by. So a little pro tip for the day, Shanty boat captain pro tip. So yeah, I'm kind of getting out on the river late today. It's gonna be about noon by the time I pull off of here, but that's okay because I'm not on any schedule. I probably should hit Cape Girardeau today and probably stop there today, and then tomorrow will be the Ohio River, so another river to change up the scenery. Let me show you guys this real quick. So if you see on my chart plotter, this side here, people often talk about the wing dams on the Mississippi River. Right now the river is so high that it's not really an issue. You'll go right over the top of them, but you can see that a decent chart plotter, this is just a Garmin 545S, which I mean you can get for a few $100. It's about the minimal I would say you'd probably want to have out here, or another comparable brand, because it's color, so it's easy to see during the day, and it's just got like Garmin's always load their maps, so they come preloaded, whereas like a Lowrance, for example, they might have changed this. Look into it, but my experience with Lowrance is you have to update them all the time and buy chips and stuff like that, and they start to get you into this like kind of proprietary mode of spending money, and I would rather just spend money up front and get what I need. So that's why I've stuck with Garmin's for the most part. Yeah, you can see the wing dams, so you can avoid them, and that's 50% of the issues that people talk about, the challenge of the Mississippi River. So just another idea here for you. You can see the river's still kind of messed up from that barge going by. You just get these whirlpools and stuff, and it just means you're stuck at the wheel a little bit, but no big deal. I'm looking forward to getting off the Mississippi. I mean, it hasn't been nearly as hard as I was expecting, but there's only better stuff coming, so carry on. I love these old power plants and mills and factories along the river. There's just something old world or pragmatic and utilitarian about them that I just love. I mean, they're like the castles of the modern time. They're so cool. This one's mile marker 85 or so on the Mississippi River, and I have no idea what it is or what it's called or anything. I just like the looks of it. So Hey guys, so I'm in Cape Girardeau. I'm just a little bit south of the downtown area. It starts getting into an industrial area where there's a lot of mills and barges parked up against the side of the river. I'm on the Missouri side. Right across on the Illinois side is a floodplain, and it's also the beginning of the Shanty National Forest, I think is how you pronounce it. And I was looking for a public dock. I did not see any, even though it's in the Quidby's book that you can get gas at like Kid Oil or something like that, but I didn't see it. I didn't see anything obvious. So, and I would rather try to stay independent anyways. I'm trying to stay off docks and stuff unless it's just really obvious and, you know, welcoming. I imagine they would expect me to get gas from them, and I have no problem with that, but I don't want to be necessarily limited to that either. So my preference is, since I'm in no hurry and I like to be self-sufficient, I just went looking for a place to anchor that's fairly close to town, and this is what I found. So there's a little river that comes in on the Missouri side. It's at like mile marker, let me see if I can show you. Okay, well, mile marker 50, just a little bit north of mile marker 50. I don't see a name of the creek. It probably has one, but I went past it, and then I fought the current slowly to test the depth of the mouth, because if you're gonna hit the bottom, it's gonna be at the mouth. I mean, it just makes sense. I'm sure most people know this, but basically, in a nutshell, you know, the main river deposits sediment, you know, right where another stream comes in. So it's always at the mouth. They call it a bar, you know. I mean, that's one thing you can call it, is like a bar. And that's where it's going to be the shallowest. And once you get over that bar, it usually gets deeper again. So I slowly came up to it. I was kind of basically, you know, slowly fighting the current and trying not to, and also kind of looking at my depth sounder and facing it towards the river to see what the bar looked like. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I can tell when, because it's reading ahead of itself and behind itself, you know, and it'll kind of show you where the bump starts to happen. And so I watched the bump, and I saw that it came up to about 4 feet, and I went up here a little bit, and it was like staying at about 4 feet, and then it got a little shallower over on this end. And then I mean, I'm just being really careful. Like the last thing I want to do is lose a prop or a lower unit or something. So that would just, you know, wreck my good time. So after I saw that it was probably okay, I came across the bar there, and sure enough, it stayed at about 4 feet. And then it dropped back down to about 8, 9, and 10 feet in this hole in here. And this is where I dropped anchor tonight. Now, the river is really high, so if you're watching this a year from now or 2 years from now or something, you know, take that in consideration. Everything is high right now. There's basically flood stage or right at flood stage, you know, at everything in October of 2018. So these numbers might drop by the time you do a trip like this. So just keep that in mind. But I've also noticed if you can see on the map that there's a railroad bridge crossing a stream, it usually means it's a decent stream that has some depth to it. And it probably means that it's always there. It's not like a seasonal stream, if that makes sense. And so I saw on the map that this had a trestle going across it, so I figured, well, that's probably a stream that's always here. It's not just like seasonal. So here's some things I'm figuring out on how to find good protected anchorages. This one's close to town. I'm going to kayak in. It's about half a mile. And everything's going really good. I'll drop a line tonight and see if I can catch a fish or a catfish. And I will catch up with you guys later. Well, guys, sometimes you gotta just do what has to be done, no matter what you're doing. And when you're the captain of a shanty boat, sometimes you gotta walk a 4-mile round trip to a gas station and haul back about 7.5 gallons of gas. back towards where you're parked. This is going to be fun. Well, I'm almost there. Taking this back route to through this industrial area to the mouth of the creek. Past this abandoned, I think it's a water treatment plant. I keep waiting for a police officer to pull up and be like, okay, we're assuming you're gonna commit arson and burn down a building, because that's the kind of assumptions we always make. But no one's hassled me so far, so hopefully I'll get to the boat, and this will be enough gas to easily get to Cairo, so yeah. Well, I made it. I didn't want to take the dinghy or kayak up the stream around all these barges that are moving around right now. It's fine if they're sitting here tied up, but you can see on the other side over here, they're actually moving them around. So I just thought it was smart to do it on foot. So got my exercise.